There's a moment, a very specific moment, when you lie to a female empath, and almost nobody notices it because nothing dramatic happens. No shouting, no accusations, no emotional explosion. She doesn't suddenly stand up and say, "You're lying." Instead, something much more dangerous happens. Her eyes change, just slightly. Her energy shifts. The room feels different, even if you can't explain why. And while you're busy thinking, "Good, I got away with it," a countdown has already started. Silent, invisible, and devastating. Because what most people never realize is that female empaths rarely leave during the betrayal. They leave after months of quietly confirming what they already felt. And by the time you notice something is wrong, she's emotionally gone, still standing beside you, still replying to your messages, still smiling sometimes. But internally, the relationship is already dying. And the terrifying part, most people accidentally cause this ending while trying to avoid it. Stay with me, because in a moment, I'll show you the exact 3-stage process that makes a female empath emotionally detach, and why most people don't see stage 3 coming until it's already too late. Here's what most people get completely wrong. They think the danger is getting caught. They think the real problem is the argument, the anger, the confrontation. So they panic. They polish the story, hide the evidence, adjust the details, and convince themselves, "If I can just explain it well enough, this will go away." But that's not how this works, not with a female empath. Because the real damage, usually has nothing to do with the lie itself. Read that again. It's not the mistake. It's not the flaw. It's not even the thing you're hiding. The real damage begins the second emotional safety disappears. Because female empaths don't expect perfection. They expect truth. And once trust becomes unstable, everything changes. The relationship stops feeling safe and starts feeling uncertain, like walking through fog. And the moment uncertainty enters, she begins looking for something you never meant to reveal. Patterns, contradictions, the truth beneath your words. And once that process starts, it becomes incredibly hard to stop. To understand why this happens, you have to understand something about emotional sensitivity. In psychology, highly sensitive people often pick up emotional signals faster than others. Tiny signals, the things most people miss: a change in tone, a pause before answering, a forced smile, a strange shift in energy. Your words might sound normal, but your body tells another story. Because lying creates pressure, even small lies. Your brain experiences stress, and stress leaks through hesitation, body language, micro-expressions, breathing, energy, and someone emotionally tuned in. They feel that glitch, almost instantly, not consciously. At first, it's more like something suddenly feels off, like static in the room, like a sentence that sounds correct, but somehow feels wrong. And here's what surprises most people. She may not even know exactly what the lie is yet, but emotionally, her system already detected the disturbance. And what happens next is where everything changes. That's because this was never really about lying. It's about emotional safety. That's the part people misunderstand. A female empath is not looking for perfection. She's not asking for someone flawless. She understands mistakes, fear, weakness, human messiness. What she struggles to survive is deception. Because deception changes the emotional atmosphere. Suddenly, the relationship stops feeling solid and starts feeling unstable, like standing on ice that might crack at any moment. You think you're hiding one uncomfortable truth, but from her perspective, reality itself starts feeling unreliable. And when reality feels unreliable, her nervous system shifts into protection mode. She starts observing, listening differently, paying attention to details, not because she wants drama, but because she's trying to feel safe again. And this is where most people unknowingly make their biggest mistake. They think silence means forgiveness. It doesn't. Sometimes, silence means evaluation. Here's what nobody talks about. For most people, a lie is one bad moment, a mistake, a conversation to move past. But for a female empath, a lie can trigger something much deeper, A complete review of reality, quietly, without saying a word. She starts replaying memories, past conversations, old inconsistencies, moments that suddenly feel different. And it happens in the background, like invisible software running. She starts asking questions, not always out loud, mostly in her own head. Wait, why did that moment suddenly feel strange? Why did that story change? What else wasn't real? And this is the painful part. She's usually not trying to catch you. She's trying to calm herself down, trying to convince herself she's wrong, trying to restore emotional certainty. But if the pieces stop fitting, something heartbreaking begins. And that leads directly to the first stage of emotional detachment, the stage almost everyone completely misses. Think of trust like clear water. Every honest conversation, every vulnerable truth, every difficult admission adds clarity. The water stays clean, safe, predictable, but a lie is black ink. At first, it looks small, harmless, contained. You tell yourself, it was only one thing. But ink doesn't stay in one corner. It spreads. Quietly, slowly, until the whole glass changes. And suddenly, instead of loving you freely, she starts studying you, decoding you, watching, listening, comparing. Because trust has shifted into uncertainty, and uncertainty always creates distance, which brings us to the exact 3 stages of emotional detachment. And stage 1 looks harmless. That's why most people miss it. Stage 1, the silent calibration. This stage is dangerous because nothing obvious happens. She still talks to you, still laughs sometimes, still acts normal. On the surface, everything looks fine, but internally, a shift has already happened. She becomes observant, quietly observant. She asks small questions, random questions, questions that seem meaningless, but they're not meaningless. She's checking for consistency, watching, waiting. And here's the terrifying part. Most people mistake her calm for ignorance. They think, good, she bought it. No, she noticed. She's just waiting, waiting to see if you respect her enough to tell the truth yourself. Because at this stage, there's still hope. But something important has already disappeared. Her emotional softness, her full trust, her unfiltered warmth. And if the truth stays buried, stage 2 begins. Stage 2, the pattern verification. This is where things start getting dangerous, because now it's no longer about the lie. It becomes about the pattern. At first, she was confused, unsure, trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. But when the truth stays buried, her mind starts connecting dots. And suddenly, small things stop feeling small. The missing details, the strange timing, the inconsistencies. The moments that once felt harmless now feel suspicious. And slowly, her energy begins to pull back, not dramatically, quietly. You notice she texts less, shares less, laughs less. The deep conversations disappear. Her vulnerability disappears. The emotional intimacy starts fading. And this is the stage where most people make a fatal mistake. They assume she's just stressed. She'll get over it. Everything seems fine. No, everything is not fine. Because emotionally, she has already stopped leaning on you, stopped dreaming with you, stopped emotionally investing the same way. And here's the brutal truth. By the time you notice distance, the process has usually been happening for weeks, sometimes months. Because once trust starts breaking, a female empath stops seeing isolated moments. She starts seeing emotional patterns. And patterns feel much harder to forgive. Because now the question changes. It's no longer, did you lie? Now it becomes, can I feel safe with who you really are? And if the answer starts becoming no, stage 3 begins. The stage most relationships never recover from. Stage 3, the emotional evacuation. This bullshit is the quietest stage, and somehow, the most terrifying. Because by now, something inside her has changed completely. The hope is gone. The emotional fighting, gone. The constant questioning, gone. Even the arguments, gone. And strangely, things may actually feel calmer. That's why so many people misread this stage. They think, finally, things are better. But they're not better. She's just tired, emotionally exhausted, done trying, done hoping, done waiting for honesty to arrive. And what makes this stage devastating is how peaceful it looks. No screaming, no chaos, no dramatic exits, just distance, silence, emotional absence, like standing inside a house. That still has furniture, but nobody actually lives there anymore. Because mentally, she has already left. She may still sit beside you, still answer your calls, still share a bed, but emotionally, she's gone. And by the time she physically walks away, she usually left a long time ago. That's the part most people never understand. The breakup didn't happen overnight. It happened slowly, quietly, in invisible moments you never took seriously. And the worst part, most people accidentally create this ending while trying to prevent it. Because lies don't stay small. They grow quietly. At first, it's just discomfort, a strange feeling in the room, something unspoken, easy to ignore. Then confusion arrives. Conversations feel heavier. The connection feels different. You stop feeling fully understood, fully trusted, fully safe, and eventually, distance settles in. You're sleeping beside each other, but emotionally living in different worlds, same house, different realities. Then something strange happens. The person who lied starts suffering too, because maintaining deception is exhausting. You become trapped inside your own performance, constantly managing details, watching what you say, protecting the version of yourself you created. Oh, and eventually, you stop recognizing yourself, because fake peace always becomes emotional prison. Until one day, the relationship collapses, and you realize something devastating. You didn't lose someone because of your flaws. You lost someone because you hid them. But to understand this fully, we have to look at the other side. Why do people lie to female empaths in the first place? Most of the time, it's not cruelty. It's fear. Fear of conflict, fear of disappointment, fear of rejection, fear of losing someone important. Sometimes, people lie because they genuinely believe the truth will destroy everything. They look at their mistakes, their flaws, their failures, and think, if she sees the real version of me, she'll leave. So they hide, protect, edit reality. Not because they want distance, but because they desperately want connection. Ironically, that fear creates the exact outcome they were terrified of. Because deception feels like protection at first, but eventually, it becomes poison, slow, silent, relationship poison. And that leads to the most heartbreaking irony of all. Here's the twist nobody talks about. You lied because you were afraid of losing her. But the lie itself becomes the reason you lose her. You were trying to protect the relationship, protect the image, protect the peace. But fake peace always comes with a price, because the truth might have caused pain, an argument, tears, a difficult conversation. But lies create something much worse. Emotional drought. You trade permanent intimacy for temporary comfort. And by the time you realize what happened, the connection is already starving, because real love cannot survive inside fake reality. And if the damage has already started, there's only one thing that can still save it. But almost nobody wants to do it. When people feel someone slipping away, they panic, they apologize, over-explain, promise change, make emotional speeches, buy gifts, become suddenly romantic. And most of the time, it doesn't work. Because from her perspective, it feels like more performance, more words, more emotional management. So, what actually works? Something brutally uncomfortable. Radical accountability, not excuses, not storytelling, not self-defense, just truth, raw truth. Something like, I lied, I was afraid. I chose comfort over honesty, and I understand how deeply that hurt your trust. No manipulation, no pressure to forgive, no emotional bargaining, just ownership. Because healing begins when performance ends. And rebuilding trust is painfully slow. It happens through consistency, small actions, repeated honesty, showing up differently day after day. Not because you want forgiveness, but because you finally understand that emotional safety matters more than ego. And here's something uncomfortable. Many people who struggle with honesty didn't learn deception in relationships. They learned it in childhood. Homes where honesty felt dangerous, where mistakes meant punishment, criticism, shame, emotional chaos. So they adapted. They learned survival. I hide mistakes, avoid conflict, say whatever keeps the peace, become whoever people need. And those habits follow them into adulthood. Without even realizing it, they stop treating partners like teammates and start treating them like emotional threats, like authority figures to manage instead of people to trust. Does that excuse deception? No. But it explains it. Because sometimes the person lying is really just a frightened version of themselves trying to survive. But survival habits eventually destroy healthy love. And if nothing changes, the clock keeps ticking. So, let me speak directly to you. If you're listening right now and something feels painfully familiar, pay attention to that feeling. Or if you're the female empath who noticed the shift, the strange silence, the emotional distance you couldn't explain, you're not imagining it. You're not crazy. Your sensitivity isn't weakness, it's awareness. And sometimes that awareness is trying to protect your peace. And if you're the one who lied, the one hiding behind fear, understand this. You do not need to be perfect to be loved. You never did. But you do have to be real. Because the hardest thing about loving someone emotionally unavailable is feeling alone while they're standing right beside you. No relationship survives behind masks forever. Eventually, someone gets tired of hugging a ghost. In the end, she doesn't walk away because you were broken. She walks away because you kept pretending you weren't. And that's the tragedy. Because real love was never asking for perfection. It was asking for honesty. Messy honesty, human honesty. The terrifying kind of honesty that says, this is who I really am. Because when we lie, we make a tragic trade. We sacrifice being deeply loved for being temporarily admired. We protect an illusion while quietly starving the truth. And eventually, the bridge collapses. Not because love wasn't possible, but because reality never had room to breathe. Because the truth is this. She might have helped you carry your darkest truth, but she will never stay while you bury her inside your lies. So, the real question is, what are you still hiding that honesty could actually heal?